Harry and Meghan may be preparing for a stunning return to Britain, and according to reports, this could be far more than a short visit. A private property has allegedly been secured. Their children could reportedly enter the British education system. And if the claims are accurate, the Sussex family may soon be living permanently in the United Kingdom. But why now? Is Harry homesick? Is the couple facing financial pressure in America? Or could this be the beginning of a new attempt to rebuild their royal profile from British soil? Stay with us, because we're breaking down the reported move, the possible Windsor connection, the reaction it could trigger inside the royal family, and the question nobody can ignore: could Megxit really be coming to an end? Before we begin, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and comment below: would Harry and Meghan's permanent return to Britain help or harm the royal family?
The Mark Dolan Show is the first show in the world to bring you the extraordinary breaking news that Harry and Meghan are returning to live in the United Kingdom. Archie and Lily will be educated at British schools. They will purchase or rent a property. Megxit is over and Harry is coming home. Now, I've interrupted the Mark Dolan Show's road trip across the United States. Cameraman John, you'll see I'm at a petrol station right here. I've had to just interrupt our journey. We're on our way to Texas, and we've dropped everything to get this news to you, to develop this breaking news. No hair and makeup. There wasn't time. This is what I look like. Deal with it. So, in an extraordinary reversal of Megxit, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle are returning to the United Kingdom to make it their permanent home. 6 years after abandoning life as working members of the royal family and relocating to North America. There's a lot to unpick. I've got all of the details. This is a world exclusive by the Sun newspaper and their brilliant royal editor, a very good friend of mine, Matt Wilkinson. This is huge. The first headline is that it's a betrayal of Queen Elizabeth II. Harry and Meghan negotiated their departure from the United Kingdom with the Great Lake Queen. It was very, very clear that they couldn't be half in, half out as royals. Since then, we've had fake royal trips to Ukraine, to Australia, across the United States. Harry and Meghan came back to England, of course, to meet King Charles just a few weeks ago at Highgrove House. As we said at the time, this is the thin end of the wedge. This is Harry and Meghan creeping their way back into royal life and back into the UK. Now we have it on good authority from the Sun newspaper in a world exclusive that Megxit is over. It's been torn up. Harry's coming home. So they're going to return with Archie and Lily. Archie is 7 and Lily is 5. I'm afraid we don't use the name Lilibet on the Mark Dolan Show because we consider it to be a stolen name. They're coming back, not next year, not even in the autumn. They are returning at the end of this month. Harry, Meghan, Archie and Lily are coming back to Britain in the next few days. Their stay is expected to be a lengthy one, several years, because Archie and Lily are going to enter the British education system. So they're days away from returning, days away from tearing up that agreement, which was conducted and drawn up in good faith by the late Queen. Poor Elizabeth is no longer here to enforce that deal and to defend the legacy of her time as Queen. Harry and Meghan have got exactly what they want, which is they've enjoyed the privacy of traveling to the United States, living in a private home, of course, living their lives as they see fit, making money, but they're going to come back to the UK now and they're going to be royal again. It's a massive headache for Prince William, who's going to have to deal with this rival royal court, which was previously headquartered in Montecito, California, now being in the UK. So let's get to the details of this. The development represents one of the most dramatic changes in Harry and Meghan's circumstances since their departure from royal life in 2020. What it demonstrates is that Harry missed being at home, which we've said for months. His body language in America has been a disaster. And it's quite clear that Harry and Meghan, separately and together as a brand, have completely failed in the United States. So Meghan's Netflix deal, which involved 16 episodes of the truly horrific With Love Meghan show, was not fruitful. That deal stopped. Ted Sarandos tore up the retail agreement to sell Meghan's horrible jam and flower sprinkles. My husband! And of course, Harry's speaking engagements have been a disaster. He was earning $1 million per speech when they left the United Kingdom. It's gone down to $50,000 and the gigs are drying up. So Harry and Meghan have failed resolutely in the United States, and that's why they're coming back to Britain. To rely on King Charles for his money and his social position, to become more royal again so that hopefully Meghan can start selling her products, for Harry to be back in the country where he's most happy, and for the couple, in an act of desperation, to try to get things going in England. What this story represents is not just the reversal of Megxit and the betrayal of the Queen, but it is an admission of failure and an act of desperation. Harry and Meghan have no option. This is the reversal of Megxit and the ruins of Megxit. It was a project that hasn't worked. It was a project that involved defaming an unnamed member of the royal family, alleging that somebody, whether it was Catherine or William or Prince Philip or the late Queen, was a royal racist. Megxit was a project in which Harry and Meghan had a TV show in which Queen Elizabeth was mocked. There was the Oprah interview full of lies about the royal family, which even Oprah has disowned. So Megxit is a smoking, burning dumpster fire, and it's being reversed. So we understand, based upon the reporting of the Sun newspaper, that the Sussexes have already secured a private home in Britain, although the location is being kept secret because of privacy and security concerns. It's not a royal property, and it remains unclear whether Harry and Meghan have bought the residence or are renting it. Don't forget that Harry and Meghan have got big financial problems. As I mentioned, the Netflix deal has gone away. All Meghan's got there is a first look agreement. And what Netflix are doing is having a first look at Meghan's ideas and saying thanks, but no thanks. Harry has lost his legal action against the publishers of the Daily Mail. They're looking for their legal expenses to be covered by Harry and Sir Elton John. It could be that Harry himself will be on the hook for $5, $10 or $15 million. So they don't have much money. Can they afford to buy a place in the United Kingdom? My best guess is that they will rent. But folks, you've got to let this sink in. Harry and Meghan are coming back to the UK. It's not a trip. It's not a sabbatical. It's not a 3-month window. They are returning to Britain. They're going to live in the United Kingdom. And Meghan has resolutely failed in her own country. This goes against all of her brand values. It goes against her rejection of the British establishment. It goes against the idea that she's an independent, thriving, thrusting young woman making a fortune in the United States. It's not happening. So they've secured a private home. Now, my other guess is that it's going to be in the Windsor area in Berkshire. It will be close, I suspect, to the Windsor estate. It could be London. It could be Windsor. It's likely to be somewhere in the southeast of England. If, of course, it was Windsor, it means that Harry will be neighbouring to the William and Catherine property, which is on the Windsor estate. So Harry may well seek to troll and borderline stalk his brother by getting a place close by. But I suspect they will rent. It'll be a big house. Archie and Lily are going into schools in the United Kingdom. And by the way, there's a suggestion that this will just be for a few years. I suspect it's forever. So King Charles was reportedly informed on Sunday that his son and daughter-in-law were coming back. And I cannot imagine what is going through his mind, because he's been very generous in welcoming Harry and back onto a royal residence, which was Highgrove House. A few weeks ago, they had afternoon tea. It's my understanding that the children, the grandchildren, of course, met their grandfather for perhaps second or third time ever. It's my understanding it went very well. King Charles wants to connect with his family again, but does he want Harry and Meghan on British soil permanently? Well, I suspect it's a headache for him, and the reason why is because the next guy that's going to be king is William, and William will be boiling with rage about this. William is the guy that has had to deny that there is an unnamed member of the royal family that was racist. This is a guy who is very protective of Catherine, who was viciously attacked in the book Spare. So William's going to be absolutely furious. At some point, he'll be king, and there will be a rival royal court, not headquartered in Montecito, California, but as I've said, at a large property on the outskirts of London, or potentially close to the Windsor estate. This is William and Catherine's worst nightmare. Now, intriguingly, according to The Sun, Harry and Meghan apparently did not tell Charles and Queen Camilla about their plans when the four of them met at Highgrove House in Gloucestershire in July, even though preparations for such a substantial international move must have been taking place for some time. And if that's true, that demonstrates how sneaky Harry and Meghan are, that they can sit there in Highgrove House, drink tea with the King and Queen Camilla, who, by the way, was there for the King's protection. And in case there were any lies about what was said at that meeting, which of course happened in the past, Harry and Meghan can sit there, have tea with the King and the Queen, and not mention that, oh yeah, by the way, Pa, just to let you know, I'll be back in England in like 4 weeks, yeah? So, you know, can you make up one of the bedrooms in Buckingham Palace? Yeah, that'd be really good, thanks, yeah. Nevertheless, the King, according to The Sun, is understood to welcome the prospect of seeing considerably more of his son, daughter-in-law and grandchildren in a private family capacity. Of course, the King is wrong about that. He's a decent and kindly man, but he's got no backbone. He's immeasurably weak and actually lacks common sense, because Harry and Meghan back in the UK will do so much damage to the royal family. So Harry had already been expected to come back to Britain in the middle of September for commitments connected with his patronages, including the Well Child Awards and one or two other events. On that visit, Buckingham Palace accommodation would have been available, but now all of that has changed. We're expecting Harry in mid-September. Harry, Meghan and the kids are coming back in a few days. So the entire Sussex family is going to be in the UK by the end of August. And I'm so happy that I'm in America for this, because I don't want to be in England at the same time that Harry, Meghan and the kids are. And I'm going to have to talk to the family about this, but I wonder whether I stay in America now. I don't want to be in England when Harry and Meghan live there, going shopping to the local supermarket. Oh, have I introduced you to my husband? I'm Meghan Markle and I'm back in England. You're welcome. I might stay in America now. I don't want to go back when they're there. Let me know in the comments, should I stay in America? I'll have to speak to the president about that. And this is going to sound a little full of myself, but I suspect the president will issue an emergency visa to me, because, you know, Trump, half the people love him, half hate him, but we can all agree he likes a winner. And I suspect he would make a dispensation to allow me to stay in the United Kingdom, in the United States, as long as Meghan and Harry are in England. But I'll speak to the White House. I'll get cameraman John to contact the Oval Office, and let's see whether I don't just stay here for as long as those idiots are back in England. So it's days away. Archie is now of prep school age. That'd be like, 11 is when they go into prep school. Before that, it's younger. Let me correct that. Sorry, they go in when they're 5 or 6. So Archie is of prep school age, and 5-year-old Lily is eligible for year 1. Now, this is also significant and a terrible insult to the people of America, because this is Harry and Meghan's way of saying, we don't want our children to be American. How dare they? America is arguably the greatest country in the history of the world. And you're saying you don't want your kids to be American? A country that welcomed Harry with open arms, even though there were a lot of question marks about his visa and how many flour sprinkles Harry was snorting as a young man. This great country where I am now, which has, even just this random gas station, it's called Love's, right? And there's a lot of love in that building. They really took care of me with the unleaded petrol and the snacks and the Gatorade. And it has connected to it a Carl's Jr. restaurant. America's just brilliant. And Harry and Meghan don't want if you're watching in America now, let this sink in. You need to know about this, folks. My friends in the United States, which is 50% of the Mark Dolan Show audience. Harry and Meghan don't want their children to be American. They want their kids to be posh, snooty, arrogant English people. And there's enough of those already. I'm not one of them. I'm humble. I'm lucky. I am a humble person. I was raised Roman Catholic. Always make yourself small. I'm lucky. I'm obviously very bright and I have great judgment and a swimmer's build. But fundamentally, you've got to be humble. And they're not going to be humble, Archie and Lily, if they wind up going to these posh English schools, and they're going to be like, "Oh, hello, Mama. Is it time for afternoon tea with scones and clotted cream?" And it's going to be horrible. So on behalf of the Americans, although I will say America is celebrating right now, because yes, it's an insult that Harry and Meghan want their kids to be British, but you are free of those two grifters. America can rebuild from here, because the US has had a lot of challenges at the moment. The challenges with the economy. I mentioned the president. Half of you love him, half of you hate him, but it's still a divisive time. There's a lot of challenges, right? You've got climate change. It's all kicking off. But America can now rebuild and reboot in the absence of those two, those grifters, those charlatans. In fact, can I tell you that America already feels lighter and happier in their absence? Because Harry's going to be on Expedia.com, which, let me tell you, is the best way to book a trip. The whole of the trip of the Mark Dolan show has been booked on Expedia, and it's tremendous value, and they're welcome to sponsor the show when the time is right and if the price is right. Anyhow, so let's get you some more information before we wrap this up. This is the first show in the world to break the news. Not only do we have the best content, we have the quickest content. We are quick. Sussex sources have declined to identify the schools that Archie and Lily will be going to, again citing the privacy and security of their children, which we know is a big joke, because Harry and Meghan have made Archie and Lily part of their brand by posting images of them on Instagram non-stop. If you cared about the privacy of your kids, their image would not go on Instagram. Do you understand? Capiche? And the other issue is that they talk about they're so protective of Archie and Lily to the extent where they've attacked the Mark Dolan show with a brutal statement about my honest, insightful journalism. Well, they hate the truth, of course, but they went for me, the ruthless and relentless Sussex public relations machine. But how are they going to spin this? That Megxit is now in ruins and that Meghan is going to live in the United Kingdom? She's this feminist and this entrepreneur, this global influencer, but she's going to live in a little house, a rented house in Windsor, selling her jam online for a few dollars a hit. Good luck with that. This is a really embarrassing day for Meghan. Can I tell you that it's fine for Harry? Because Harry, as I've said since day one when we launched the channel, he misses England. Woke California is not the right place for him. It's even the climate. The guy, he gets sunburned with the freckles and the ginger hair and all the rest of it. It's not his habitat. So Harry, this is a win, okay? Back in England, drinking beers, hooking up with his army buddies. Meghan is diluted. She can't control him anymore. He's going to be cured of the Meghan mind virus, which is a term that the Mark Dolan show invented. The Meghan mind virus is a serious illness which makes you think that Meghan is a great entrepreneur, actress, cook, and philanthropist, right? It's the Meghan mind virus. Oh, Meghan, you're so amazing, yeah. And Harry's going to come to England and he'll have other people and he'll be in the real world. The bubble will be burst. The Stockholm syndrome will end and he will be cured of the Meghan mind virus. So let's wrap this up because I need to get a Carl's Jr. Let me know in the comments, what is the best burger to get at the Carl's Jr.? I don't know. Is it up there with the Wendy's? Because I love Wendy's because well, apparently it's Harry's favorite restaurant. That's another story. Meghan doesn't cook. She's a klutz in the kitchen. I like the Wendy's, actually. And I relate to Wendy because, like me, she's got red hair and freckles and she's famous too. So we've got a lot in common. The family is not completely abandoning its international life. Harry and Meghan are expected to hang on to the Montecito mansion. But let me just say that the Sun are saying that, right? They're keeping the Montecito mansion. No, they're not. No, they're not. There's no way that they can run that house in Montecito, which is bigger than they need, and it's only big because of Meghan's ego. They're not going to run a house in England and a house in California. They're going to sell that. And we broke that story. Kelvin McKenzie, former editor of The Sun, said that they're going to lose that house because they need the cash. And so I promise you, they will be paving the way to get rid of that house in Montecito because they're going to be in England for years. The return raises huge questions about the settlement reached after Megxit. Under the Sandringham Agreement of January 2020, Harry and Meghan were prevented from pursuing the hybrid arrangement that they'd originally envisaged, half in, half out, combining some official royal functions with the freedom to earn commercial income independently. Their new life in Britain will not overturn that principle. So Harry and Meghan are not returning as working royals. They're expected to continue running their private businesses and commercial enterprises and will not receive public money simply because they are once again living in the UK. But here's the point. They're going to return to the UK and they're going to pretend to be royal and they're going to try to make money out of it. And they're going to make life a misery for William, Catherine, Charles, Camilla, and all of the people in the United Kingdom, which is why I may reach out to the president and stay in America. Please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. We're the smartest show.
Peaks are multi-dimensional. For Meghan, the choice to monetize and weaponize private stories changed the nature of her peak. If she wants a second peak, the route is rebuilding credibility, choosing fewer high-quality projects, and limiting public airing of private family matters. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit subscribe, ring the bell, and smash that like button. It really helps. Vote in the pinned poll, wedding, Oprah, or Netflix, and tell us why in the comments. We'll compile the best replies and run a follow-up. Popcorn Palace returns with more debates. See you next time. Oprah gave her a megaphone. Netflix gave her a paycheck. But the wedding gave her legitimacy. And once you trade legitimacy for attention, you can't get it back. That's why the wedding was the peak, because it was the last moment she had the permission to define herself on her own terms. Here's the lesson. Peaks aren't just about numbers. They're about narrative control. If Meghan wants a second peak, she needs to stop selling her story and start building something new. Fewer grievances, more projects. Less victimhood, more value. Because credibility isn't built in interviews, it's built in consistency. So, do you agree? Was the wedding the real peak, or did Oprah or Netflix take the crown? Drop your vote in the poll, smash that like button, and subscribe for more royal debates. Next week, we're breaking down the one decision that could change everything for the Sussexes. You don't want to miss it.